Hi, welcome back to another addiction talk. I'm AJ. So, in our last talk, we were discussing the war on drugs and how it's been approached the last 100 years. Today, we're going to talk about some things that have been tried elsewhere that have had some success and that are worth exploring and maybe trying in your communities if possible. So, there's a country in Europe named Portugal that in the year 2000 decided to try something a little dramatic, a little different in its war on dealing with addiction, which was to decriminalize all drugs and see what happens. Decriminalization doesn't mean that it's legal, it just means we're not going to put you in jail for using them. What we're going to do is take the money that we would have used for jail and give it back into the communities in which you live. So that also includes going to treatment. So if there is treatment or therapy or groups or any of that kind of thing that you need, you should definitely do those things. But these are some ideas also. They were going to give a lot of the money that was used to pay for incarceration and put it back into the community. So if I had a problem with drugs, rather than putting me in jail, they would say, all right, we're going to give half the money to prospective employers in your area, get you a job doing what you do well, or train you to do something that you've often wanted to explore, and say, we're going to pay half the salary for the first year to that employer. If after the first year they're not satisfied, then they don't have to keep you on. And what happened was in Portugal, they found that they didn't want to go back to doing it the way they did before because people were happy, they felt connected, they felt part of something. It gave them a purpose, it gave them a reason to get up in the morning and to cope with their life and their addictive thoughts and feelings. So they would still go to treatment, they would still go to groups, they would still go to therapy and take medication and do exercise and sleep and eat and connect with other people. But they would also have a stable home, stable income, and a purpose. Food on the table, clothes on their backs, and would give them some reason to connect with others, which was really, really important. That they have that connection, that they felt like they wanted to belong and were loved and could love. And what happened, this was taken from a model back in the 70s. A doctor named Bruce Alexander did an experiment on Vietnam War veterans. And the government at the time, when that war was going on, were very concerned because about 20% of the soldiers were using heroin intravenously in mass quantities. And so they thought when these men came home that they would have a huge drug problem. Well, what actually happened was just the opposite. Only about 5% of that huge number of individuals continue to use any kind of drugs. The other 95% had lives. They had wives and children and homes and jobs and connections in their environments and in their communities that kept them active and occupied and happy and safe and loved. And so they did not go back to using any kind of drugs to cope with the trauma and the reality of the war that they were dealing with. And in Portugal, they've seen in the last 15 to 20 years the crime rate go down, the addiction rate go down, the HIV and AIDS and hepatitis rates go down, and people stayed employed, aren't as homeless. No one wants to go back. It's a bipartisan decision that the government has made that it is working. Because they've realized that people, as long as they have a connection and a purpose and are loved and supported, will probably not do addictive behaviors because the addictive behaviors were what were keeping them occupied. We're making them feel in control, giving them some power, and giving them a connection with the world, even though it was an unhealthy one. So consider these things in your communities. And and try and get that as a reason to look at the individuals and their strengths and give them the power and control to live their life. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me at AJ's Addiction Talks. Be well, be safe. God bless. Thanks.